Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, the fun and games are over, so now it's time to find out the catch. We've got a few theories about what's really going on here, so now I guess it's time to find out how accurate our guesswork actually was. Down, Gara. Bad beast. Very bad. I apologize, Your Celestial Highness. How is your imposter hunt going? Gara? That's this cutie's name? Indeed, my darling pet. She is guarding the Shrimperiuses. Every once in a while, she gets an allowance in the form of Alcidont bones. Well, that is adorable. So what's the problem? What exactly is she doing wrong? She almost ripped off my finger along with a slice of Alcidont. It's my fault for forgetting their predators, albeit domesticated ones. I mean, that's just part of owning a cat, but sure. You have reduced a beast, born to hunt and kill, to a domesticated pet. Without purpose and discipline, both man and animal alike are destined for degradation. Solomore nods at Glado, who is completely unfazed by the multitude of delicacies. See? This is the level of obedience and dignity that we should strive for. I don't know, Solo. I kind of prefer not to surgically remove my pet's personality. Speaking of which, if your blade does not obey your hand, it may one day pierce your throat. Cabela's words caused the governor to shudder. So, Governor, I'm going to be blunt here. This game you have us playing, what happens to the imposters at the end? Because I'm being told that they're never seen again. I'm not consigning people to death here, am I? Your Celestial Highness must have been listening to a lot of gossip. Who cares where the rabble goes afterward? However, I can assure you that the victors are often sent into my personal service. We call it the highest favor, and today it will be up to you to choose whom it should be bestowed upon. Okay, well, Governor, I'm going to say right now that sounds an awful lot like a deliberate non-answer. The governor is dragging out his words, as if he is not entirely sure of them himself, or is not telling you something. Yes, thank you, me. I noticed. Yes, well, be that as it may, I suppose I have found all of the imposters. Delightful! I will immediately summon the court for a final celebration of hypocrisy. And who knows, perhaps today one of the imposters will be lucky enough to earn your favor. Straining to add a note of gravity to his voice, the governor proclaims, Most radiant ladies and noble lords, I hereby declare the imposter hunt officially over. The crowd responds with uproarious cheers. The participants of our masquerade already stand before you. Did you guess correctly? Did you expose them all? Please don your oculars and have a good look. Geraldo turns to you and whispers conspiratorially. Not one noble was permitted to hunt the impostors this time, my lord. Still, knowing their penchant for such games, I do suspect they tried to make their guesses anyway. Quietly, among themselves. All these imposters have been found out by none other than our celestial guest, Valin von Valancius. An unsurpassable show, your Celestial Highness. Bravo! Bravo! Maeve, present our gift. All right, Roldo, now you're just being patronizing. I got like 1 of 4 at best. You hear the fool's voice from somewhere among the crowd. A noble torso, branded at the behest of the rogue trader himself. Oh, what bitter irony. My standing ovation to you! Bluff? Okay, so something's about to go down. Basertium Mask. Oh, it actually looks pretty cool. Wearer gains +1 psi rating and +15 persuasion. If Perils of the Warp is triggered and a demon is summoned, the demon attacks the closest to it non-demon target. I mean, wouldn't that just be the person who accidentally summoned it? Because I feel like they always appear adjacent. I mean, not like we're going to use it either way. Your Celestial Highness, as an honored guest of Thasera, would you like to say a few words of guidance to our beautiful world? Maybe. Let's see. Honestly, kind of surprised none of these are branded with doctrines. Some seem pretty obvious. In my short time here on Thasera, I've seen far too much strife and iniquity. If you truly want this place to thrive, let alone prevail, you need to understand that we all have to be there to support each other. A machine can't function if its parts are working against each other. In unity, there is strength. Hear, hear! All hail our celestial sovereign! Glory, glory! The masks extol you, roused by your words. That was a grand speech. Thank you. Rualdo sniffles loudly, dabbing his face with a handkerchief. And now, good lords and ladies, the time has come to make the fateful decisions. There is not but one true reward, the highest favor that any branded impostor desires. Please, your Celestial Highness, tell us, is there among these people one worthy of a rogue trader's favor? I mean, that really depends, Rualdo. What exactly is this highest favor? Part of the game, I assume? I don't recall you explaining it before. That is correct, your Celestial Highness. Whomever you grant your favor will be showered with all manner of honors, and go to serve in the governor's palace. Which, let's be honest here, probably isn't a good thing, but then again, neither is not being chosen. The old priest, I guess. Maybe he can talk some sense into the nobility. And, you know, good luck to the lady in the golden mask. God Emperor protect you, my lord. The Emperor sees into our souls and keeps us always on the true path. The priest's haggard face is full of humility. He bows, bending like a dry tree, then sets off toward the castle. Someone going full Mark Hamill out there? You hear venomous laughter from among the crowd and recognize Bluff's voice, as the square drowns in the clamor and applause of gawkers who are spectating the games. You look around for the court fool, but cannot spot him anywhere. Such is His Celestial Highness's brilliant decision, which for some may have been fateful indeed. And finally, the hour you have all been waiting for. The concluding part of our, conclusion. The Great Feast. The crowd's patience is worn thin. Filling his lungs, the governor shouts out, Laceraxes! Dinner is served! What? No, how could this be? The Cyberlaxeras's lumens glow blood red. Before the condemned can even scream, the beasts pounce on their prey with hungry snarls. Really feels like I should be calling them Laxerai.
I've been branded. He tricks me. Gotta stop! I'm the master! Maeve, help! Maeve, I'm sorry.
Oh!
My horseback records your wickedness.
No, was that number...
For disposal.
Was that number 4? Oh, come on. All that just to... Also, Rualdo, right? Yeah, I guess he's dead too. Or Dane, I should say. Since his last words did seem to make that pretty obvious. I will say, his death is slightly unexpected, but not hugely so. We had already kind of predicted he was likely a scapegoat. Either that, or an overly ambitious co-conspirator, which I think it's safe to say he was not. Though we'll see how Maeve responds to his death. I am not actually sure if she knew that was him. As for these guys, I'm guessing it'll turn out that we were branded in secret. Which does make sense if we assume that Bluff is Rualdo and the data brand is Idexian technology brought from his home world. He would have had ample opportunity to secretly brand us when we first arrived. Yeah, based on how things are playing out now, my thought is Rualdo stole the tithes, used Dane here as a scapegoat, posing as Rualdo, now conveniently dead, and the rest of us were branded to dispose of witnesses. The folks here to investigate said missing tithes. Granted, the death of a rogue trader during a celebration mishap would certainly result in the Imperium cracking down on this world pretty harshly, but what would Rualdo care? As far as they'd know, he'd be dead. And the real Rualdo would be long gone. Somewhere far away, enjoying the spoils of his grand scheme. Though I suppose that doesn't really get into the whole potential chaos cult thing. I feel like cults are kind of played out at this point, so I don't know if they do it again. They've definitely hinted at it pretty heavily. It just feels a little too on the nose, I suppose. Could be as simple as him just using Tavrisk's precognition to basically weigh the Tavrisk and reward of the whole scenario. To try to maximize the chances that he'll get away with it. It is a pretty convoluted plan. Lots of points of potential failure. I guess it would help to have an actual factual precog on hand, especially when all hopped up on native psychic stone, blue juice, or whatever we're calling it. The Certium. I mean, honestly, the Certium might be what kicked this whole thing off. That does seem like it would be pretty valuable on the cold market. Kind of reminds me of Warpstone from Mordheim. An inherently valuable mystical resource that also just happens to be incredibly dangerous to linger around. Which, you know, again, would also help explain the... If it is a native resource to Thasera, it would certainly explain the higher-than-usual volume of mutants. And then the grand public execution, staged by Tadua the Scorched, to help distract the local populace from the fact that people are being rotted by exposure to this stuff.
As the tenants demand.
Which they have dubbed the Thessarian flu, it would seem. And could also easily explain the why the masks caught on. In fact, they even hinted at it. We overheard those two noblewomen on the way in talking about how, like, face rotting was seen as a a sign of moral decay, a belief which would indeed encourage the local gentry to conceal any such signs of mutation until eventually it progressed to the point where, it's just completely unignorable. And then you get burned. What happened was no accident, and if my suspicions are correct... The arbitrator looks at his palm thoughtfully, then holds it out to his cybermastiff. Leto, analyze. The dog's visor shimmers as it scans his skin with a mesh of rays. Finally, there is a metallic click, and the descending hum of cooling servo motors. The Proctor's augmetics respond with a soft buzz. A data brand. The court fool put it on me when he shook my hand. Then the Laceraxes attacked everyone who had been marked. However, the beasts were not at all eager to tear you apart, rogue trader. It appears you are wanted alive, but without my protection. Ooh, okay, well that's a twist. Maybe there are some body-swapping shenanigans after all. A rogue trader would make a pretty tempting target. Oh, God, Emperor! Maeve presses her hands to her chest in the sign of the Aquila. Her lips whisper a prayer. Forgive and protect his soul. Forgive and protect. Lying nearby is the lifeless body of Lacerax number 4, which you released from its cage. Its fur is clumped and sticky with blood, its vicious eyes glazed over. Giving its own life to protect another was a stunningly human act for a beast. Rest in peace, my friend. A shame I couldn't give you a better life. The one with the damaged implants. Perhaps they were the reason the beast defied the order the rest of its pack followed, to destroy all bearers of data brands. Or maybe... Solomor looks pensive as he straightens Glado's collar. Maybe it was a fine animal that was unlucky enough to have bad masters. This is the first creature I've met on Thasera that has been worthy of respect. My Lord Judicator is fond of animals, is he not? I never would have thought you had a kind side like that. Maeve's smile is gentle and sad. For the first time ever, she looks at Solomorn without fear. Solomorn casts a heavy glance at the young woman. Or maybe I just cannot stand people. Solo, could you scan Rualdo here as well? I suspect he was also branded. At his master's command, Glado directs his scan rays at the dead man's severed hand, which has somehow avoided being reduced to shreds along with the rest of the body. The Cybermastiff's augmetics emit a warning signal. Rualdo was branded too. He couldn't have known, or else he would not have doomed himself like that. I assume this is likewise the work of that buffoon. The only question is whether he was acting of his own accord, or at the behest of someone more important. I'm going to say probably the former. Maeve, I know this is a lot to take in. Who are you praying for? My brother, my lord. I had a feeling he wasn't acting himself lately. If I'd known he had fallen in with scoundrels, I would have found them and strangled them with my own hands. Can you think of any reason why your brother would fall in with folks trying to kill my proctor? It's a mystery to me, my celestial lord. I think about it and I can't even imagine why. But lately, it's like he's not himself. He keeps muttering these awful rhymes about blood and fate. and it's like he's waiting for something, but I just can't understand what. Following premonitions, I'd wager. That does lean into the whole precog angle. Rualdo here apologized to you right before he died. Any idea why? I have no idea what's going on. I'm so confused. Maeve stares at Rualdo's mauled corpse with unblinking eyes. Is this just a horrible nightmare? Could it be I'm just dreaming? For a second there I thought... No, I'm sorry, it's impossible. No, please, continue. What were you about to say? I thought it was my brother calling my name, not Lord Rualdo. But Dane wasn't there, meaning I just imagined it in my fright. Oh, Maeve. Okay, I don't think you're guilty anymore. Oh, brother. You think back to Rualdo's last moments. It is hard to tell for certain, but it really did seem as though his voice had changed. That it sounded younger and less strained, as if he had cast off a mask. I do wonder if he actually body swapped with Rualdo, or if they just... if it was more of a face-off situation. He had the fake face, Bluff has the mask. But they did mention that Tavrisk is a biomancer for a reason, so... who's to say? So now that Rualdo's dead, who takes charge of Thasera? If only I knew, my celestial lord. If only I knew. Maeve's glistening eyes are full of shock. And forgive me, but there's no way to put this delicately. Given what's happening, how do I know I can trust you? I swear by the Emperor himself, I am unblemished before you in spirit and thought. That is what any cornered heretic would swear to try to save their life. But I really had nothing to do with any of it, my lord. All I was told to do was entertain our celestial guests and chaperone them to the castle for talks. And instead there's just gore and death everywhere. Okay, yeah, I'll take your word on that. Though I do think it's high time we paid a visit to this castle. After I've had one more look around. As you wish, my celestial lord. Number 4. Dangerous neighborhood. Servo Skull gains various things. Into the pile it goes. And Rualdo. Synth feed. If the wearer ends their turn with any adjacent familiar, that familiar regains wounds. Not what I would have expected to find on him, but darkly humorous, I suppose. Anything else? Seems like only the immediate onlookers have evacuated. Everyone else is still going about their day-to-day indulgences. I am curious if any of the named characters are still lurking about. Hello there. Huh. Yeah, give me a sec. I'm gonna give this place a quick once-over. One last thorough pass before we push on to the next area. Be right back. Nope, we're good. Time to go mask off. Are you ready, my celestial lord? That I am. Let's call this bluff. I hear and obey, my celestial lord. Please, Maeve breaks off as Solomorn walks by, brushing past her with his shoulder before examining the elevator with a fault-finding eye. Not daring to speak again, the young woman makes a gesture of invitation and steps onto the platform herself. No sooner have you stepped into the elevator than a short, metallic clang comes from somewhere above you. The Certium floor inlay. Please don't stand on that, Valen. Alright, well, see how that works out for you. I hope you enjoyed my bloodthirsty menagerie. You instantly recognize the spiteful voice and cocky smirk of the Fool's Mask. The arm that was mauled by the Cyber Mastiff at their first meeting hangs limply. He has not even bothered to bandage it. Right, we've got the Certium inlay where we are, where Bluff is, and under that cage. Could be body swapping. I mean, that does seem like it might be the simplest explanation at this point. It would explain why he hasn't bothered fixing his arm. I mean, heck, that might actually be Dane's original body. But let's see if we can milk some details here. Still acting the buffoon. Some people never learn. Solomorn gestures behind his back to the Cybermastiff, sending him off on a circuit along the walls. A pulsing light draws your attention. Against the far wall, an old man stands behind an ominous-looking altar. The heavily augmented man stares in wonder at the flashes of blue light snaking through the veins of the Certium in the floor and walls. The crystals in his eye sockets gleam and go dark in time with the flashes. At once, you recognize him as the sculptor who offered to carve your visage out of the Certium. The old man does not seem to notice you. All his attention is focused on the strange altar. Tadua, the executioner, stands behind the fool and gives you a crooked smile. Nearby, Lucra, the fortress commander, keeps a sullen vigil. His hand never leaves the handle of his weapon. Right, very glad I spared you both. Well, it's fine, you'll end up dead either way. Bodyguards for a fool. Seems a mite bit excessive. Times are troubled, as you know. I want everything to go according to plan. And the governor being dead, I assume that was part of it? Don't be ridiculous. I couldn't swallow a man whole even if I wanted to. Bluff throws up his arms in an exaggerated fashion. The Lacerax, fool. You unleashed it on the governor. Don't try to deny it. It seems humor is not part of the vocabulary of the Emperor's servants, but truth should be. You see, that governor was a fraud, a fake, not worth crying over. The true governor of Thasera stands before you, esteemed guests. What? No. What? No. Surely you jest. Dane, come on. Don't say things like that. It's not right. It's... Shut up, you idiot. You can't even do as you're told. The fool tosses a look of utter contempt at Maeve. Well, you've got me convinced. Her real brother may have been a fool, but he'd never deigned to talk to her like that. Why don't you take off that mask? Show me who you really are. Wrapping his hands around the mask, Bluff begins to slowly pull it away from his face, squirming and sobbing theatrically. Suddenly, the moans turn to gurgling laughter, and the fool removes his hands from the mask. A jest! You'll have time to examine this face. Very thoroughly. Okay, body swap ahoy. So what was Maeve supposed to do? bring you here, to the altar of change, and not ask questions. So simple, but she couldn't even manage that. And I, according to your plan, was supposed to die. Solomon raises the palm of his hand that holds the invisible mark of the data brand. Exactly. I don't need you. But don't worry, I've planned for this as well. Tavrisk, are you ready? Bluff smirks, clearly enjoying his imaginary power. Or is it real? Solomon turns slightly away from the fool and makes a series of furtive hand gestures, telling you to stall while the cybermastiff gets into position. The preparations are complete, my lord. Barely able to take his eyes off the dark altar, the sculptor hobbles towards the edge of the balcony. I have to ask, Rualdo, why swap places with your jester? So he could take the fall, or was there some other reason? I've always preferred masks to those mugs. Bluff gestures vaguely at the crowd thronging the square below. Besides, who would take the poor, wretched fool seriously? Who would suspect? I found a replacement. Rualdo wanted to play at power, and I graciously let him. Pity he didn't rule for long. I, on the other hand, had a costume change and took a seat amongst the spectators. I sharpened my wit. I even began to enjoy it. And all that for this one day. This exact moment. The elation in his voice sounds almost maniacal. And the missing tides. That was all part of your plan as well? Oh, yes. One small part of the grand design. To be precise, the first bait you had to take. Which you did, with commendable zeal. The concept was simple. Disrupt the shipment and provoke a response. An ingenious trap that the Arbites walked right into. But fate granted me a special boon. You were caught in my net along with them, Valin. You didn't trap anyone. You shot yourself in the foot. Only an idiot would think they could outmatch a rogue trader and a proctor together. The arbitrator gives you a subtle nod. The cybermastiff is close enough for a decisive lunge. Sure, yeah, just a sec. So you really are from off-world. Idex? Was that part true? I see you've already found me out, eh? That's right, I was born and raised on Idex, the greatest world in all the Imperium. I'll never forget that mix of plasteel and ferrocrete, the glitter of proud spires, and the eternal humiliation of my appointment. Why were you sent to Thessera? To serve the Imperium, faithfully and honestly. Why else? Our all-knowing administratum benefits if the feudal throne is occupied by someone with an intelligence level higher than a Grox's. A golden shove for all my diligent service on Idex. I packed my bags and came here to govern this backwater. What a joke. About your scribe, Gregorius Fault. I found some of his notes. It made for a very intriguing read. Brass tacks, Bluff. Have you found some way to swap bodies? My, you are perceptive. My previous experiments were failures. You've met some of them, particularly Fault himself. Remember the crazy mutant by the Phasmophorius? Oh, you should have seen your face. Mocking laughter erupts beneath the mask, making the fool's body shake all over. And you will. This time it will work. Oh, wow. Okay, so yes, that does explain the excess of mutants. They were test subjects for his previous experiments. And that big blue thing behind you with the giant eye, that's the altar of change? The fool gestures toward the object in front of the sculptor. A great artifact, which Tavris carved from this planet's unique gift, the Certium. Take a good look at it while you still can. Yeah, it looks very impressive, very fragile. Alright, I think I've heard everything I need. I've got to say, Rualdo, your choice of disguise was quite apt. For all your grand plans, you're definitely more fool than governor. Do I have to be any one thing? Bluff chuckles darkly. Bluff ignores the arbitrator, his gaze fixed on Maeve. More specifically, on the necklace on her chest. Uh-oh. A lovely piece, isn't it? You see Solomorn's hand signal out of the corner of your eye. Glado leaps, but does not reach for the fool. The psyker moves at the same time. A flash of light, and everything goes dark. Man, my mercy's really coming back to bite me here. Should have taken the necklace, should have shot up the fool. Should have executed both of his lackeys. Oh, and we're in a cage. You are surrounded by the smell of old rust. The darkness reluctantly retreats. The pain comes first, throbbing in your head, then the metallic taste in your mouth, and finally the feel of the hard floor, chafing your stinging cheek. You see Bluff through the bars of the cage. The mocking smile on his sinister mask seems to grow even broader. Or is it a trick of the light? Maeve is white as a sheet with a dark abrasion on her face, weeps quietly as she stands stock still beside the fool. There are markings on the floor at your feet, a crooked circle bordered by unholy symbols. Bluff is standing in the center of an identical circle. You hear a quiet, measured scraping sound, and an old man's muttering coming from the depths of the hall. The few words you manage to catch sound nothing like Gothic. Rogue Trader, can you hear me? You turn to the voice. Solomon is trapped in one of the side cells. Apart from a bleeding bruise on his forehead, he appears unharmed. I'm fine, I think. Fool even left me with my gun. How about yourself? I'm fine. He looks away for a moment and then back at you. Under Bluff's unwavering gaze, he cannot communicate any more clearly. You look over to where Solomon indicated. Glado lies motionless in the middle of the room. Judging by the flickering lumens on his implants, the dog is still alive. Maeve's necklace, I should have known. Not just a gift from her brother, is it? Oh, much more. You see, with the right knowledge, the right tools, and some complex rituals, people can transform a simple, dirty blue pebble from the depths of Thessera into something truly special. However, it's a bit late for you to do anything with that information. I mean, I don't know about that. I feel like I'll have plenty of time to do something with it. Once I'm out of this cage and done killing you. Enough chit-chat. Tavrisk, begin! The old man with the Thersertium eyes, wheezing raspily, spews a torrent of unholy words from his toothless mouth, and the markings beneath your cage seem to breathe in, glowing with crimson light. Maeve's gaze leaps from you to Bluff in alarm. Tear-reddened eyes widen as she realizes what's happening. Dane, stop! Her slight form crashes into the fool, pushing him out of the center of the circle. The world explodes into shards, suffused with a blinding light that burns out your eye sockets, incinerates the air in your lungs, and makes your heart judder in your chest. And finally, darkness descends, impenetrable and absolute, encompassing everything. It cradles you, dissolving everything that was once you. Everything that once was. You are bobbing like a boat, tossed upon the waves. Colors and sounds meld into a cacophony, stirring up nausea in this exhausted body. You blink, and the patches of color fall into place. Or do they? Across from you in the cage, you see a frightened, disoriented face, an expression you have never seen in a mirror. At your feet lies a gaudy mask that has fallen from the fool's face. Covering his wrinkled visage with both hands, the ugly and enraged governor of Thasura rises hastily on trembling legs. Staring daggers at you, Rualdo shrieks, "Seize her! Seize Maeve!" Oh, that's not so bad. You're just missing a nose. You're barely even a Bethesda-style ghoul. The guard takes a heavy step in your direction. The look on his face promises nothing pleasant. "Solomorn, now!" A sweet, melodious voice rings out. Not yours. Gosh, I can't imagine why. Leo, attack! Your head swims, and through the haze you recognize the figure of a guard coming closer and closer, with no signs of stopping. Your gaze sweeps over the room, searching for a way out, for a solution, until, somewhere at the periphery of your vision, you notice a streak of scarlet. It is the Cybermastiff's visors lighting up, giving you a chance to run. Okay, I mean, maybe not the best place to go, given our elevation level, but sure. Wow, that got weird. And you know what? I think we'll call it there. It is interesting, though. Apparently there are body-swapping shenanigans, just none that worked until now, with the rest of the experiments all resulting in those mutations we saw earlier, which would imply that Bluff, that Rualdo is actually still in his original body, as was Dane, hence the masks. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now, but we will pick up here next time. The main course has yet to arrive, but at least we've got this wafer to tide us over. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.